Yeah. If you see my tweet that I just put out, you'll see the live broadcast one.
Yeah.
That's us. That's you can put that out for the live.
Cool, that's the one going like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright. 30,000 things. I need an intern. Rolling. Here we go.
It's a new decade.
Alright.
The native tongues are about to see with the usual lingo.
Check. Talking to you, Mike.
Usual rhythm.
Check.
Yeah. Alright. And for the most part, just try and get it up, like close to you. But you don't have to lean in like that. Yeah. Alright, here we go. Alright, we are rolling. That's right. Sean Breaks, PhillyHipster.com. It's the podcast. And we're going to try something new. We're obviously rolling with the visual right here, which is fun. A lot of people have asked me, you used to do a lot of stuff with Periscope and all that, so we want to see more of the visual and start getting that involved. We got a couple ideas that are brewing at PhillyHipster.com. So, looking forward to getting all that, but we got plenty of time before the redesign kicks in May, and you've been hearing me talk about that for a little while, and the live events that we got coming up in the summertime. So, a lot of things in motion at PhillyHipster.com, but I'm looking forward to today's podcast because obviously we are consumed by the NCAA tournament. With the NCAA tournament, it's Villanova, and on the other side of that, you look at prospects for the 76ers in this upcoming draft. So I figured I wanted to get my man, Mr. Michael Caskey-Blomain. He goes by, it's a long name, but he goes by the name of @RealMikeKB on Twitter. My man KB, how we doing, my friend?
What's up, Sean, man? I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on for the live podcast here.
All good. Now let me ask you, you've been writing for a number of outlets over the past couple of years. Philly.com is what we're all up on your stuff with. What are you doing now? What do you got going on these days?
I got a few things in the works right now, doing a little bit of freelancing and contributing to a few different outlets. Still a Sixers reporter with the ESPN True Hoop Network, Philadelphia.com. Do some freelancing Sixers work for the Sixers since through Sports Illustrated's Fansided.com. I have my own podcast with my good buddy Jeff McMenamin from the Philadelphia Metro, who covers the Sixers and the Union for them. Got that going. Hopefully some other stuff in the works down the pipeline. Just staying busy, following the tournament and the Sixers, getting ready for the lottery and of course the 2016 draft.
That's what it's all about right there. So I figured we'd dial you up, get you involved. You've been on the podcast before, so look, we had good chemistry in that one podcast. That was over through the phone. You live in the area, so I said, why don't you come over to the kitchen?
Maniac local.
Come on over to the kitchen. We got music in the background. We're going to kind of try and keep this moving, but obviously, hopefully that's not too loud. I did do some testing on some levels, so hopefully everybody's okay with that. But before we get this party started, I want to hit just two quick sponsors, people that are believing at what's going on at PhillyHipster.com. We kick things off with my good friend Colin Good from the GoodTeamSells.com. That's right, Manayunk Real Estate. He is a part of Keller Williams Realty, located here in Manayunk. He's been doing the game. He's been in the game for over 10 plus years. He is my real estate agent. So here's the deal: if you're believing in what's happening at PhillyRealtor.com, and right now you're possibly in the market for buying a new house or selling your house, it's really, really important that you reach out to Colin Good. Check out his site, thegoodteamsells.com. Just see what he's got going on. And trust me when I tell you, like I said, he's been in the game for over 10 years. He is my real estate agent. Once again, it's Colin Good at thegoodteamsells.com. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my people over at Skull Shaver. That's right, we were on video. Yo, you got hair, so you ain't worried about the Skull Shaver. But check this out. Check this out. The Beast Clipper. It's coming, baby. It's coming. That's coming out the first week of May, or first week of April, and it's gonna change the game for everybody. Look at this, right here, right
This I
here.
could get into.
Yeah, see? You do it yourself. Boom. Skip the lines, bro. All right? No more barber shop on a Saturday. Nothing like that. You do it yourself, nice and easy. So we can't wait to get that out there for the people with hair. Skull Shaver's kicking ass and taking names. So they got a great product, and I'm happy to be involved with those guys over at Skull Shaver. Check them out right now. SkullShaver.com or at Bed Bath & Beyond or Amazon.com. And once again, don't take my word for it. Check out those customer reviews, man. That's all you need to see. All right, we got a lot of stuff to get into, so let's not waste any more time. My man, the real Mike KB. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter. If you got a question, hit us up, please. Anything you want to know, Final Four, prospects, tourney, whatever it is, Sixers, go ahead and send them in. We're here for the next hour. All right, we kick things off with the Final Four, obviously the discussion of Villanova right now, and it's fun. But I will be honest with you, Mike. As much as we want to see Villanova advance, let's be real, we don't want to see Buddy go home.
Nah.
We don't want to see Buddy go home.
He's too fun to watch, man.
It's
fun to watch.
It's incredible how like we watched him all season long. He's averaged 25 points per game. But even then, when the lights are shining bright, and this is gonna slide right into Ben Simmons' conversation, but he has that extra switch. He knows the lights are on right now. He's averaging, I believe, 29 points per game in this tournament. Obviously, not the toughest competition for all the way up into Texas A&M. That was a tough game, but still, Buddy Hield is the player of the damn tournament. Tell me what your thoughts are on Buddy Hield right now as we speak.
I mean, he's phenomenal to watch first and foremost, and he looks just NBA ready. He looks like a guy that could, you could drop into an NBA roster right now, and he could go in there, get you 20 on a given night. And from a guy that, a perimeter player, that's pretty impressive. Okafor was a guy that a lot of people said last year that he, was ready. You could drop in the lineup and you could score, which he could, but a lot of that was based, it started basically on his size and the fact that he was a big guy. Hield is, NBA comparison. A lot of people, like to compare him to Harden, maybe C.J. McCollum, like a shooting guard like that, and to be NBA ready, it seems like this, the ability to just go right in and contribute, I think, is a huge part to his game. And he's just been steadily, climbing up the mock drafts for the second half of the season. I'm looking at NBADraft.net right now. I remember back in December, he was mid to late lottery. They have him third right now, going to Phoenix right behind Simmons and Ingram. So he's he's rocketed up these mock drafts, and I think just visualization is a big part of that. Simmons obviously, he wasn't even in the tournament. Ingram got bounced in the second round, so Hield's been obviously in the Final Four now. He's been getting the most exposure, and he's been taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say, it's funny, and this is kind of into the prospects of the people that are coming out. It's like if I was the way that people are talking about Ben Simmons and him not getting his team into the tournament, which is complete bullshit in my opinion. Did he show his game, his best game in that A&M SEC tournament? Hell no. Was his body language shot? Absolutely. Is there excuses being tossed out there? I feel like a little bit, but at the end of the day, you weren't there day one when LSU had his face on a billboard. And they've just been beating that Ben Simmons drum since day one. So it's a little bit different ballgame when we're talking about Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram, just about, the limelight, just, this is our guy. Almost like he's a professional player when he's not. He's an 18, 19-year-old kid coming into campus fresh out of high school. Like, whoa, all right, now the lights are shining bright. So I want to slow down just a little bit before we start firing bullets his way about not making
it's a program in LSU that's not necessarily accustomed to having that big of a talent on the roster. I mean, obviously, going back to the early 90s, they had Shaq, but, this isn't necessarily the program that's been pumping out top 3, top 5 lottery picks over the past decade or so. So that's another factor you got to consider in his, LSU's handling of him as a guy that was projected. If he came out, out of high school, he probably would have been a top 2 pick. So
Yep.
that's a lot of, pressure for a guy in a school that's not necessarily been a basketball powerhouse over the past 15 years.
And if you're one of these guys that are coming out of high school right now, there's no way you're going to go play for another team out there. Like maybe, and Ben Simmons had his reason to go to LSU. He could have went anywhere he wanted, right? But he had his reasons with his family member that was at LSU, or yada yada yada, whatever combined into that. But bottom line is, now if I'm a kid coming out of high school, I can't risk it and go to maybe a Cal or maybe a low-end one like Iowa. Say there's this kid that's just no joke. His father works at John Deere. He's an amazing ball player. Fuck that. I'm not playing for Iowa. If they're gonna write shit about me not making my team or not having my team make the tournament, I'm not risking that. I gotta go to Kentucky. I gotta go to Kansas. I gotta go to the top-notch schools. I can't mess around with it anymore, and that sucks.
It does. It shows why guys like Calipari and schools like that are getting all the recruits, because they, the experience. A guy like he clearly knows how to handle that situation. A guy like Simmons, who obviously wasn't going to be your Buddy Hield and stay in school for multiple years, he was always going to be, a one and done type guy. In that situation, like a guy like Calipari, or a powerhouse school like the Kansas or the Kentucky, Memphis, whatever you want to point to, they know more so how to deal with the situation of a player like that. And I think this kind of Simmons' situation this year kind of just exposed that. He hasn't, not that he's necessarily hurt his stock, and I know you're a big proponent of him still going first in the draft. He's going to go top 2.
He's going number 1.
We'll see.
He is going number 1 right now. Like, if you're a general manager, you cannot sell it to your fan base, but without taking Ben Simmons' number.
But it's safe to say either way, he hasn't necessarily helped his stock throughout the season at LSU, because he was the consensus number 1 when the season started. There wasn't even a question, and at this point, there's at least a valid question.
Is there? Because
Yeah,
last time I checked, right, on when UNC just played that game, when they just beat Notre Dame to make the Final Four, on the bottom of that screen, Bryce Johnson just finished with a double-double. I believe it was his 25th of the year. Guess who he just tied for the most double-doubles in a season this year?
I'm going to guess Simmons.
Ben Simmons. 19-12. 19 and 12. Look, I'm not trying to come at you. I'm coming
I
at.
like Simmons too.
I'm coming at everybody.
Right.
Because
I know you're a big Simmons proponent.
it's not fair. It's
Yeah,
just not fair the
It's
way
not
people
fair.
are. Just look at it. The kid is 19 and 12. He was anything and everything on LSU's campus, which is a football fucking school, except for this year, because of Ben Simmons. Look, just be realistic. And again, you're only saying 1, 2. I'm talking to everybody out there. Ingram is a phenomenal talent, but when it comes to being the number 1 overall pick, it's gotta be Ben Simmons. Has to be.
I think you're. I do. He'll be there. I would be surprised if he wasn't, but I do think his stock definitely took a little bit of a hit, not making the tournament. For the NBA scouts, that doesn't necessarily determine one thing or another, but it definitely takes him out of the national spotlight. And like I was just saying, it's kind of the opposite of Buddy Hield, where it's kind of propelled him up the draft boards, just watching him perform. At such a high level in the tournament, where Simmons is. Who knows what the hell he's doing now, sitting home chilling, like watching the tournament.
You better be working out.
Hopefully he's doing something. It's signed with LeBron's agency,
Which is smart.
Yeah, but so I just think that back to Hield, I just think that he's really benefited from it. And so, Simmons, I think it's just an example of why so many guys are just going to the powerhouses. Is if you know that you're going to be following that route of you got to go to school for 1 year and get the hell out of there and go make your NBA money. Why wouldn't you go to a guy like Calipari or a school like Kansas where you're going to get the exposure, you're going to get in the tournament every year, no matter what. Basically, Kansas doesn't, and then you at least get a little bit of exposure and take it to the draft. I think that will, guys will question going to a school kind of like LSU after the Simmons situation.
Before we get into the prospects of the NBA draft, I want to talk a little bit, but just focus on this Final Four for just a minute, because it's been an incredible ride this year, KB. This tournament has been off the hook every single time. I've always watched. I know as guys we've always watched. When it comes down to March Madness, you got to be in front of the TV. But it just seems like there were so many buzzer beaters. You had how many teams, how many high seeds or low seeds, 13, 14, 15, and 16 win in that first 2 days. But then at the end of the day, the 15 out of 16 that went to the Sweet 16 were all relatively known, commodities in the NCAA. Hell, it might have been 16 to 16. You look at the Final Four right now. I love love both matchups. UNC,
Yeah.
Syracuse, Nova, Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Villanova were one of the best teams in college basketball all season long. UNC, to me, I had them winning it all. I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but when they won the ACC tournament, it showed me that they're ready for this challenge because I thought the ACC from top to bottom was the best conference in college basketball. But so far, loving this tournament. I know we all are, but these Final Four, these two matchups that are happening on Saturday night, Nova kicks things off at 6 o'clock versus Oklahoma, UNC Cuse. I'm going to say UNC over Cuse. I don't think it's going to be a rout. I don't think it's going to be a lot easier like people are projecting. And I'm sorry, I got to go with Oklahoma, the high-handed dice game. Buddy Hield is on that Kemba Walker type feel, right, type ride right now, from 2011, 2010 at UConn. But those are my two. That's going to be the national championship on Monday night. I know that sucks for Nova fans, but still, Oklahoma, UNC, how you feeling about this Final Four?
I gotta agree with you there. Buddy Hield, like you said, it just seems like this is his tournament. He's gonna ride it at least to the championship. At this point, just with the momentum and the way he's playing, it might be tough for anyone to stop him. I think they got a shot, which, like you said, it sucks as for Villanova fans to hear because they might honestly have a better team all around than Oklahoma, a little bit deeper. I like Jay Wright. He's confident going to the bench, mixing things up a little bit, giving some different looks, even some more so I think than he's been in past years, which has resulted in some trouble in the tournament. So I think he's adapted well this year, and Pitt with my boys, the Panthers knocked out in the first round. I didn't have a dog in the fight, so obviously as a Philly guy, I'm kind of riding with Nova. But I just think Buddy carries Oklahoma past then, and I'm really looking forward to the North Carolina Syracuse matchup. Syracuse with Boeheim and that 2-3, and they always come to play. They're a team that's just always going to compete.
Tournament test.
Exactly. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be ready. So like you said. It's a 1-10 matchup. Carolina was one for a reason, and they've lived up to it. So far they're the only one team that made it to the Final Four. In the end, I think that they'll knock out the Orange. But I expect a battle from Boeheim and Syracuse. But this whole tournament, it's just as a college basketball fan, it's just been what you want. It's been great upsets, like unpredictability. A Final Four that's made up of wholesome, legitimate college basketball schools. You think of college basketball, Carolina, Syracuse, Nova, up and coming in Oklahoma. It's just everything you wanted, kind of from an outsider. It just isn't necessarily a die-hard college basketball guy, but thoroughly enjoys, the season and the tournament. This year was just, it's been great so far.
No, it's been an amazing run so far with this tournament. Like I said, I've been tuned in. My girl, for the point, has just been we watching basketball. Yeah, she's like, we watching basketball again. Yeah, it's guess what? Nova's playing on Saturday. We gotta go. We gotta go check them out. And one thing I will say just before we get into some of the other stuff with the tournament, with Jay Wright, and you brought it up by talking about Pitt, your team, you don't have a dog in the fight, and a lot of people are confused around here, or maybe it's just, who knows, people got to come up with different things to talk about when it's in the dead months, but I'm talking Sports Talk Radio, but there is a question of, is it okay for a Temple guy to root for Villanova, and vice versa, and LaSalle, I don't really put on that level. I just look at the two majors here. I look at Villanova and I look at Temple. No disrespect to St. Joe's, no disrespect to LaSalle or anything like that, but I look at it like this. You go down to North Carolina, ain't no way NC State's ever pulled for UNC or Duke. And the same thing goes for any of those schools. And you would sit here and say, well, Villanova and Temple aren't on those levels. I think eventually you got to consider yourself on those levels. And I'm pointing the finger really at Villanova. I don't like Syracuse. I've always thought people from Syracuse are smug. All right? And guess what? They win. They're smug as hell. Villanova, guess what? You do. You have that smugness about you. But guess what? You win. If you didn't win, nobody would give a damn about you. So I look at it like that. I look at a person from Temple. You can't root for Villanova at this point in time. I know you want to feel good for Philly, but that's not the case. That's not the way it works.
Philly fans are just so desperate for a Philly team. They just gotta latch on to something. I've seen people on Twitter asking if Villanova wins. It might have been even you. Somebody said posed a question if Villanova wins as it counts as a Philly championship. It's because people will take anything to Philly to claim as a title. But I agree with it. Especially, it's nice to have a rivalry. I don't know. I don't see any negatives to having an inter-city rivalry, especially two teams. Temple obviously made tough luck in the tournament, but they were there. Nova's going to be there. It was, I think it'd be nice to have kind of loyalty divided amongst the city and have a nice little basketball rivalry brewing. Because Philadelphia, you know, and I know, it's always been a great basketball city.
Oh yeah.
But all the way through, collegiate, high school, professional. I think lately, the Sixers struggles haven't helped. I think it's flown under the radar a little bit. There was so much excitement. Was it 2 years ago when LaSalle made that the run? Is that last year, 2 years ago?
It might have even been more than two. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. It might have been a year before that.
Damn. All right. Well, whenever they made that run,
The Southwest Floater, whatever it was.
There's so much excitement around that team, just because I think at this point there's so much passion for basketball in the city of Philly, and with the Sixers, struggling so bad, there's not necessarily an outlet for it. So I don't see why. I would encourage basically a rivalry. I also went to Temple for grad school, so my ties aren't quite as tight as they would be as they are to my undergrad school at Pitt. But if it came down to at least them playing each other, you got to ride with your school.
Yeah, you have to at that point in time. You're no damn right about that. But I think it's funny when you get to that conversation. I give a lot of respect to Villanova. I mean, you're on that level. That's why it's like you're not like the softy, like feel good type of program. Jesus Christ! For the last 3 years. Nobody's won more games than Jay Wright and Villanova. I mean, what they went 5-3-5 in the last 3 years as far as losses are concerned. I mean, that's incredible. So it's like, own it. I don't want people hopping on our bandwagon. No, we're the mighty Villanova. Get the hell out of here. You root for your team next September, October when the season comes around. That's the way it should be.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
It's funny how some people look at that, but that's side. Who cares about that? At this point in time, I think majority of Philadelphia is looking forward to Villanova playing on Saturday. If they win, it's great. If they don't, we get more Buddy in the national championship game. All right, let's talk a little bit about Buddy Hield. Let's talk about the prospects of Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram. We had a good conversation at the bar a couple weeks ago, so I'm trying to, let's give them that if we could. But you're the 76ers, and we got a long way to go. I mean, it's the ping pong persuasion this year. That's what it's all about. These ping pong balls, I feel like every single year we say this, but ultimately dictate how the 76ers are going to go about their future. There was a report Jahlil Okafor possibly could be shopped. I think we've all been realistic with it. We wanted to see what him and Nerlens Noel look like together. We don't know what Joel Embiid could bring to the table, but at the end of the day, there's obviously something there with Jahlil Okafor and Nerlens Noel when they're both on the floor. I think Ja's an unbelievable offensive basketball player, but at the end of the day, you got to give me something on the defensive side of the ball. Nerlens Noel, then you look at him, great defender, but what about on the offense? Give me something on offense. So this is a tough decision, so it comes down to ping pong balls. If the 76ers get the number 1 overall pick, I feel like they go Ben Simmons and they move Jahlil Okafor. If the 76ers get the number 1 overall pick, I ask you, KB, what are the Sixers going to do? What type of moves will they make?
If they land that top pick, I think they go Simmons too. I think they still stick to the adherence of the best player available policy. And with as you kind of alluded to, with so much uncertainty floating around, you don't know who the hell is going to be on the roster next year out of the past 3 years lottery picks. And you assume that Embiid's going to be there. He's not going to get moved. No one knows what to expect out of him. So his market value is not positive or negative. It doesn't exist. So you have to assume that one of Nerlens and Ja, is going to be probably shipped this summer. And you throw Simmons in there, and it's basically what Hinkie has been talking about from the beginning. It's just a pile of assets which gives you the most flexibility. He hasn't been drafting for fit since he took over. In reference to a lot of people I think Ingram would be a better fit for the Sixers directly because he can shoot, plug into that small forward spot, spread the floor for whoever's in the post, Embiid, Noel. So specifically just for fit, I think that's where a lot of the Ingram argument comes in. But Hinkie hasn't been drafting for fit since he took over. It would be, a shift in course for him to do so now, whereas, Simmons can, the Sixers don't have a form yet, so it's not like they need to start molding pieces around, a centerpiece that's non-existent yet. So with that thinking in mind, and just based off the track record of Hinkie since he took over, I think Simmons would be the pick. I know you think that would be the right pick. I also know a lot of people that don't, and are really high on the Ingram train. I'm personally with kind of somewhere in the middle. I see positives for both players, and it's for me honestly at this point I haven't really engaged in those debates. The biggest concern is that they just even land in the top 2. Landing in the top, getting the 3rd pick again for the 3rd straight year would be just a huge disappointment for Sixers fans who had put up with this season, being the worst out of the three. So the main concern is getting one of those two dudes. But to directly answer that, I think if they get that top pick, I still think things can change between now and June 27th
Sure,
or
absolutely.
whatever. But right now, I still think Simmons would be that guy.
Yeah, and I think at that point in time, like I said, if you draft Ben Simmons, I think you got to move Jahlil Okafor. Let me ask you this: if you got Simmons, Jahlil Okafor, Nerlens Noel, and Joel Embiid, rank them. Just overall, I don't care. Let's, for the sake of this conversation, consider Joel Embiid able to go 50 games next year. He misses a week or so, but he plays 50 out of the 82 next year. Well, obviously he misses more than a week, but 50 out of the 82 next year and looks good, okay? Rank those four players just as far as the NBA, guys you want to groom, guys you want to build around, those four go.
I still think, this obviously has been the same, the same qualifier since 2014 NBA draft in Brooklyn. I was there and I was disappointed as hell when it went down as it went down and we missed out on Wiggins and Parker. But still, if he's healthy and still only 22, I think Embiid is the best out of these four.
Best
guys.
out of those four,
I
Embiid.
think, yeah, if he, obviously it's so much depends
Sure.
on if and health. And even if he's healthy this year and plays, I think in a lot of fans, if he even did play 50 games, that would be a victory.
That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
I'm banking him on 10 games next year and getting hurt over.
That's so 50 games would be a win, and if that did happen, you would have to feel, and if he, displays and plays up to the level that I think people almost, kind of expected. He's kind of teased him with his ability to shoot before games and all that. Like, he's a complete package. Even if he plays that many games this year, to me, you still have to be, cautious and worried about him going forward. His long-term future. Is he going to be able to sustain that for a long enough time to be the guy that gets built around? But that's all hypothetical. Strictly based on skill set, to cut right to the chase, I do think it would go Embiid, and then it's tough to say after considering he's never played an NBA minute, but the other dudes have. I would say Simmons has the potential to be the biggest best out of those three as far as like a franchise guy, just based on his ability to probably do it all. Whereas we kind of both said that Nerlens is great on one end, John's great on one end, but neither of those guys, at least to this point, I don't think anyone can necessarily point to it and be like, yeah, this guy, in Nerlens or John, this guy's a franchise guy, because there's too many questions about both of them. So I think Simmons, just as a sole prospect he placed into an unshaped roster, would be has the potential to be the best, just as he can do so much on both sides of the ball. Draw some comparisons to LeBron, can do a lot. And then when you get down to the other two, in Nerlens and Ja, this has been the great debate on Sixers Twitter throughout the year.
Yes, it has. Sixers stands love them some Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, it's tough, like between Nerlens and Ja. It honestly really depends on what you're looking for. This is kind of what you and me were talking about at Pictures a couple weekends ago. I lean in as far as building the team for the future. I personally lean toward Nerlens as a guy to keep, whereas as far as not moving him, just because his ability to kind of fit into today's NBA, where he can get up and down the floor, block shots, run the break, rebound. Doesn't necessarily need the ball to create his own offense. And I think, if you look at a lot of the best teams in the NBA today, obviously the Warriors and the Spurs, so much of their success is just based on, the newer emerging style of play, ball movement, spreading the floor, spacing, being able to shoot, being able to get up and down on the break. And I think as a defensive, guy, Nerlens would fit a system like that perfectly, where he wouldn't need to be, fed the ball and, have such a high usage percentage where Ja does, where, Ja has such a natural skill, and which is what makes it so tough to say that. Like, not too many guys as a 19-year-old you could throw in and he's going to get buckets on basically any guy in the league. But for his success, I think, is very specific as far as the team. Like, if he's going to be a focal point of the team, there's a very specific, style that you need to build around him. Whereas he needs touches and he needs time, isolation, which kind of, not necessarily kills ball movement, but it stops the flow of times when, the way the league's going. I think constant ball movement is important. So, you know, Nerlens gets the edge for me in that regard. Those two at this point it's tough.
Yep. So if you were to make a move, would you, and it's so difficult to ask this question because you don't know who else is out there, but you would rather the 76ers hang on to Nerlens over Ja? Or would you, you know, I mean, I can't even put that question the right way because if you're going to make a move, Ja's going to get a better, you know, return for you. He's going to get more pieces
Right.
with than Nerlens. Yeah. So it's just tough to ask that question. But you would lean to keeping Nerlens over Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah, and there's other factors you have to consider too. You know, now that more so like a freelance, I've had a little more time to do some like digging around, and you got to think, you know, the other side of it too. There was a lot of reports prior to the draft that Okafor and his camp didn't want him to come to the Sixers in general. There, you know, there's some reports that his agent flat out told the Sixers not to draft Okafor, that they didn't want him anywhere near the rebuilding process in Sam Hinkie. You know, which kind of makes sense. Okafor, a guy coming out, just won the national championship, grew up with, you know, winning as a stud prospect. You know, 10 years ago, the hype around Okafor would have been massive. You know, when guys like Michael Olowokandi were getting drafted first overall, you know, a talent like Okafor at the big guy position would have been massive. And I think, you know, the people in Okafor's side didn't want him in Philly. And, you know, from what I've been kind of told from some people that are around, you know, the team and Okafor's family and, you know, his circle, those feelings they're not necessarily gone. You know, they've kind of just died down because once he's drafted, there's nothing you can do in the immediate that's without, you know, hurting your own. You're not going to, you know, complain publicly. There's nothing you can do in the public realm. But behind the scenes, you know, I think there's still some of those feelings that we don't want him here. We don't want him a part of this. We don't necessarily trust Sam Hinkie. Still going on, whether it be from his agent or I don't know if you remember in January there was a bunch of articles about how his dad Chuck was just parading Brett Brown in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't take a big stretch of the imagination to think, you know, if he's doing that in front of 20,000 people at the stadium, you know, what are they saying when it's him and his agent and they're looking at the Sixers and they're watching the stories about how John might get traded and how he's, you know, third in a Rookie of the Year race and he's projected to win by a mile and he's basically an afterthought. And, you know, I think that has to be considered too. You know, long story short, that would Okafor even be interested in returning to the Sixers when the time comes? And, you know, I think that the Sixers have to be, you know, aware of how Okafor's camp feels, you know, in one way or another, whether it be directly or indirectly. And to, you know, some extent at least, you think, you know, player content has to play a factor in it. And, you know, that combined with the fact that Okafor would, you know, right now probably, you know, as you said, generate the biggest return on the market, more so than Nerlens, combined with the fact of, you know, if you don't know if he's even going to be interested in staying here, you know, there's rumors he wanted to be a Laker. He grew up in Chicago, and Bulls are kind of falling apart, need some big guys. So, I mean, and especially like if Embiid's still here, there's just a lot of factors going into it. But, you know, it put me on the spot right now. I just think that trading Ja makes the most sense for the Sixers, and, you know, flexibility going forward, both in terms of their ability to build, you know, a team right now around whoever hopefully they get in this draft, and just going forward and the return that they would get.
Would you rather have D'Angelo Russell or Jahlil Okafor right now?
At the time, I mean, last summer I was campaigning for Russell. And I mean, strictly based on fit, again, you would say Russell. I think having Russell on the roster would kind of eliminate a lot of questions that exist right now, because at least there'd be that guy that is a different position than all the guys there, him, and then Nerlens, and then, you know, the prospect of you either get Simmons or Ingram, you put them in there. So, you know, it's still tough because Russell, you know, he had his struggles this year in LA. He wasn't necessarily given the opportunity. But like long term, I think Russell. I would still go Russell.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean I think Jahlil showed you a lot this year, especially all the bullshit that he was going through, and you know I mean that's his own fault, but you know the growing pains and that light was shining really really bright on him, and he just took it in stride. It still went out there. What's he averaging? 17. I know he's hurt, done for the season, but still had a pretty good rookie campaign. And, you know, saying goodbye to Jahlil, you better get something big in return.
Yeah, that's a huge factor. They can't do Michael Carter Williams deal where you're getting an unknown pick in the future that might parlay in 4 years.
Yeah.
not that it's comparable. Obviously, Jalil is more valued, I think, than MCW. But yeah, if you are gonna make a move like that, because Okafor is a guy. Like I said, my biggest concerns with him aren't his talent or even his defense. It's just fit. Like the teams that have a great big guy, even like the Kings. You look at them and DeMarcus Cousins, who's probably the best center in the league. He's been there 6 years now. They have 0 playoff appearances. That's my concern. Is just not his skill set. Just if his skill set in today's NBA, it's going to lead to great success. But yeah, like if you are going to move a guy of that talent, you better be getting something, getting something good in return, not just an inanimate object. I think you need to get young talent back in return, in addition to picks, like if you can, but not just a pick.
We'll be watching those draft or the lottery. That's for damn sure. With our fingers crossed, hoping that the Sixers land somebody else's pick. Now, obviously, the Lakers are in there, and who knows what will happen with that. The Kings doesn't seem right because that's a flop. That's a flip of the picks, right?
Yeah.
So
if the Kings, we're ahead of the Sixers, we would have the right to switch with them. It's
would they? Yeah. I mean, could it happen? Who knows? Sure. I mean, it possibly could, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem likely. And then that just carries over to the following season, so we'll see. But they got a lot of moving pieces. You're right about if they moved Jalil up for it, it's about getting talent. So, I mean, I could see if the 76ers say they got a 2 and 5, say that at that 5th pick, maybe or 6th pick, Boston was like, you know what, we'll make that move and we'll give you whatever for Jalil Okafor. And you get that pick. Now you're talking about Chris Dunn. Now you're talking about Murray. You're talking about in those worlds. And if you were to team him up with maybe a Ben Simmons, if you were to get the number 1 overall pick, or a Brandon Ingram at 2, it's a pretty good, move as you start the 2016 season. Oh, by the way, Dario Saric is going to come over, and Joel Embiid will hopefully be able to give you something. So that's something to be considered with the Jalil Okafor talk, the trade talk. Let me ask you about Dario Saric. What can we expect when Saric comes over here next year?
It's tough to tell. I mean, I think he's a guy that is versatile. Honestly, he reminds me, not necessarily talent-wise, but he plays in kind of like Ben Simmons, not necessarily as good, on the boards or as athletic, but he's a small forward, power forward combo. I think it's not necessarily going to blow the doors off scoring right away. I think Saric's shooting has improved since he was drafted, but he's still not necessarily a guy I think that's going to come in and light it up. Same with Simmons, but I think he's definitely a guy that's versatile and will help the team as far as you can plug him in different spots and in this NBA that we're talking about where it's a lot of one big 4 versatile player or something like that. I think he'll come in and give the Sixers a lot of versatility in that area. Statistically it's hard to predict a guy that's never played NBA ball, to compare it to Turkey ball, what he'll come over and do. But he has, he has been improving consistently. He's won, some accolades, like month MVPs over in the Turkish league and stuff. So I mean, there's definitely, it's not just going to be a guy that I think, some people might have written him off. Some people, of course, have been, anxiously awaiting his arrival. But I think he is a guy that, especially with his professional experience, can come over and contribute at least, almost immediately. That's one benefit of him. We've had to wait for him, but it's not like he's been injured. It's like we've been waiting for an MVP. He's been playing, professional level basketball in Turkey and been doing it pretty well.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about the drafting of Dario Saric. My mind automatically goes to Doug McDermott. And I remember getting into arguments with people about Doug McDermott. Now, McDermott's played a lot more this year, and his numbers have went up, but still nothing like everybody was talking. Like, you gotta draft Doug in buckets. Now, he's averaging 9.5 points per game this year. That's not that bad. I'll give it up to him. I didn't think he would even get to that mark this year. I was not a Doug McDermott fan. He had a great college career. I just didn't see any reason why going nuts. I said, all right, Dario Saric, obviously they see something in this kid. And when you ask people, if he was able to come over at that point in time to play right from day one, he would have been a top 5 pick.
Yeah, he would have been. He was viewed a lot higher, and it was up in question whether he was coming over or not. And yeah, I remember when it was thought that he was coming over and they were doing projections, he was slotted in that Jazz, Celtics, Lakers 5, 6, 7 spot. So that was another example of that pick. Just as Hinkie had always done, just drafting the highest ceiling player that dropped for whatever reason. Nerlens dropped to 6th in 2013 because of injury. Embiid dropped, in that same draft, and Saric dropped for that exact reason. And they were in a position that they could wait to the 2 years. They didn't need him to come and contribute anyway.
It's crazy because I remember that draft like it was yesterday. Matter of fact, I got a bet with this dude. He owes me a steak dinner. I got his name written down on my phone upstairs. Yeah, he was like, "I'll guarantee that Doug McDermott," and I was like, "Name it." He was like 14 or 15 points per game, and I put a 3-year bet up. I said in 3 years he won't even sniff that. Now 9.5 isn't exactly sniffing 14, 15 points. I think we put it at 14.
30, I think.
Not bad, not bad. I gotta give it up to him. Now the Bulls stink. And that's one of the worst franchises going right now, in my opinion. They're just, for firing Tom Thibodeau and believing he bringing this new coach, and and they're going to miss the playoffs. It's complete BS with some of these squads.
They've had their injury struggle. Jimmy Butler missed like half the year. Rose has been out, but still, in an Eastern Conference where there's 10 teams in contention, and some of them are not very good, you think the Bulls could really sneak into that spot.
They should at least. But that's not going to happen. And then my man's going to owe me a steak dinner because he's not going to average 28 points in this next year. So, bang! That's a win for me.
Take that phone number.
You're damn right. All right, so that's a little bit of that. Talking a little bit about as we slide into 76ers. Once again, any questions, please feel free to shoot them over. We've got about 25 minutes. And if you do shoot a tweet over, it's going to be brought to you by my people over at BadRhinoInc.com. That's right, check them out. So, Clutch.com's top social media agency in 2016, located out of Westchester, your local Cats. All I'm going to tell you is this. If you run a nonprofit, if you got a business, if you got an event coming up right now, you need to go ahead and work smarter, not harder. And social media is what it's all about in 2016. Take advantage of that platform. Hit up my good people over at BadRhinoInc.com. Tell Marty and Rich I said, what up? All right, so we slide over to the Sixers conversation with talking about the prospects and the draft. But let's focus on this year and just how bad it was. I just don't understand how they weren't able to even just show you a sniff of progression, a sniff of getting it right, moving in the right direction. This team was worse than last year. And you look at the names, you look at the talent, Robert Covington, who I wasn't a big believer in, showed you a little something this year. Ja was amazing at times. Like I said, 17 points per game. I know he's a rookie, but still. Nerlens took a step back. There's just so many things. But at the end of the day, we give Brett Brown a 5-year contract extension. I have no idea why. And the team just absolutely stunk out loud to the point that I didn't even want to give them $1 of my money this year after opening night. Why? What the hell happened this year? Was it the plan all along just to continue to lose games and look this bad?
I don't think it was necessarily the plan to look this bad. And, to me, someone who at least has understood and been supportive of the plan from the beginning, I do think the lack of progress has been the most concerning part. And still the level of uncertainty about everything going forward after this time. This year, the first year, it was something totally new. Half the season we had the leftover guys, Evan Turner, Spencer Hawes, Thad, Boy, they were all playing major minutes and keeping the team in games. And that wasn't really until the trade deadline of that year that, we were totally shed of all, those guys. So that was kind of expected. And then last year, it was also a struggle, but it was kind of more of an exciting struggle, whereas we were trying out a bunch of new guys. Nerlens was out there for the first time. Jeremy, they found Robert Covington, they said. It was a lot of new guys that, everyone was kind of watching, trying to evaluate what these guys were going to be for the future. And then they ended the year, they started to play well in the middle of the year for a while, and they traded MCW, dropped back down. And then they kind of ended the year on a high note again. Ish Smith was playing well, good ball, they won a few games. And I think there was just a feeling in general amongst the team and the fans that the things were starting, the process I guess was starting to go out. They switched if you remember the slogan, they announced that the new slogan was "This Begins Now," which was
that died quick.
Yeah, it died quick, and just worked to tease fans and think that this season coming, like the one happening right now, was supposed to be something special. So I think the expectation definitely hurt. But yeah, man, this season was just brutal. And it's to this point now with Ja out, Nerlens missing games. These games are getting tough to watch. I'm a diehard Sixers fan, always have been. I watch every game, but the excitement level, it's just just not there. When you know that it's just going to be a tough night, night in, night out. I don't know. It was the plan all along, quote unquote, to continue to struggle and maximize these lottery picks. But it didn't have to get to this extent. I don't think quite as bad as it got this season. And I think you would like to see development from some of these guys and just more to bank on going forward after 3 years. Like if you look over at Minnesota or Milwaukee, other teams that were in comparable situations, like yeah, they're terrible this year, but there's guys you can at least point to and be like, yeah, this is the future of the team. We're going to build around Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and Levine, or we're going to build around Jabari and Giannis, and go from there. The Sixers, we're talking about who's going to be here next year. Like, can Embiid play? There's just not one solid thing about this rebuild after 3 years, which could change quick. This summer, in 3 months when you and me are doing this, things could be real different. We could be sitting here with Ingram, Hield, a healthy Embiid, Saric, a motivated Okafor, a couple free agent pickups, and a bench. A whole different ballgame. But at the same time, just the fact that at the end of the third season, that if is still so big is, I think that's a concern, and I think that's kind of a concern to the ownership, to the front office and the ownership, and that's part of the reason I think Colangelo was brought in, not necessarily to speed up the process, but I think maybe to assist and kind of smooth it out a little bit. Whereas his presence there will, I think, just help. Everyone points to him tracking free agents, but yeah, I think there's just so much uncertainty still at this point. I think that's been really the most disheartening part after all this. You would like a little more something concrete to at least hang your hat on going forward. Like, yeah, we went through all this. This year's been brutal. We've been, embarrassed, blown out, whatever. But at least we have this to hang our hat on. And at this, up to this point, like we said, it could change. But as of today, March 29th, there's still, there's too much uncertainty.
And it can still not work out too. That's what I tell people. I said I love the fact that trust the process. You down with TTP all day? Yeah, sure. I'm here. We got to see it through now. But at the end of the day, is that guaranteed? Dario Saric comes over. What's he all about? Injuries, they happen. So nothing is given.
They've happened to the Sixers. Right?
Exactly. So nothing's a lock. That's for damn sure. So I'm really nervous. But let's talk about the man whose vision it was all along to put us in this place right now, for better or for worse. Like I said, we're at this point. We got to see it through and talk about Sam Hinkie. Wow. If Sam Hinkie gets fired at the end of this year, what do you say about his 3 years as general manager for the 76ers?
Honestly, well, I mean, I don't see him getting fired.
Neither do I.
At least, first of all, they have to give him, this summer, it's kind of the culmination of a lot of his work. So, to take him out even before that, I think anyone from an outside, perspective can see that wouldn't even be fair. So, as far as him being fired in the very immediate future, as far as like the season ends, or if they don't get the first pick or something like that, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. But I think it's definitely reasonable to ponder about his future with the franchise, considering the way the team is right now. And I mentioned to you I wanted to address this on Sunday. I came out with a tweet and a report. From a source that I absolutely trust within the Sixers front office that said, basically in no uncertain terms that it's not totally unified in the front office. There's some that are not happy, whether it be the ownership or other executives, that just aren't happy with the progress. And my report, kind of took off, which was sort of surprising because I kind of assumed that the writing was on the wall when Colangelo came in the first place. Like, if the ownership or front office is happy what's going on, completely happy what's going on, why the hell would you bring in an outside factor to even if it's a great one like Colangelo with a resume and connections and a Rolodex and all that, if you're completely satisfied with the course that something's on, like if you love your car and you drive it every day, you're not going to bring in another car to compete with your car. It doesn't make any sense. So when I came out with that report, I didn't necessarily expect it to get to the national level that it got to, and it got me a backlash, which I got used to through Philly.com. If people don't like what you're reporting, they're gonna take digs at your credibility.
Especially Sixer stands too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Sixer stands out there.
So I mean, there's an entire Reddit thread, like 300 comments deep. about my credibility that I was reading through yesterday. They were digging up tweets of mine from college, and like, it was just a lot based off, the report that I said that, some of the front office weren't happy with the progress of the rebuild. And, I just think that's, it doesn't necessarily mean that a change is going to be made, but, they're looking for progress. Next year, the front office, they don't want to be in the same situation that they're in. So, this summer I think will be very crucial to see, how moves get made, what gets happened. But there's definitely stuff going on behind the scenes that I don't think people like you said, Sixers stands, and you get a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good, knowledgeable Sixers fans on Twitter, and then there's a lot of people that just blindly follow, everything, and from certain sources that they just take to be, that I don't want to put any names out there or anything like that. But there's like certain, cliques or groups of Sixers followers on Twitter that, if it's not reported by these people or not thought by these people, then it's garbage. And that's not necessarily true. A team that's been this bad for 3 years, even though that was the plan all along, it's faced a ton of national backlash. There's players are not wanting to come and try out for the Sixers. Which
is true.
It's it only makes sense that there's going to be someone in a front office or an ownership of an organization like that that's not that they're not on board with it, but at least like, hey, like, where is this going? We've been bad for 3 years, and what do we have to show with it? Which was basically what was conveyed to me. Not that he's on the hot seat, quote unquote, but there's a growing sense of what do we have to show for all of this effort that we put in for 3 years. And I just think that it's foolish to think that doesn't exist. Like you said, there's Sixers stands that the process has been anything but smooth. And I think even Hinkie would admit that luck has played a huge part. There's been injuries. So to be naive and think that there's nothing going on behind the scenes, within the front office, I just think that's, naive. But with that being said, I don't think Hinkie's, immediate future is in jeopardy. But, I do think that the ownership and front office wants to see, progress.
Yeah. No, it's a bad product right now, and that's what it comes down to. And I would imagine it still surprises me how many Sixer fans do go to games. It really does surprise me when they turn in. It's not a lot, but still there are a lot of diehards out there. And I consider myself a diehard, but I just can't watch this track. I did for 2 straight years, and I had no problem with it. But this year it hit me a different type of way. And I'm not saying you got to feel like how I do, but this year pissed me off, and I just can't take it anymore. And guess what? I'm voicing it a little bit, and the Sixers unfollowed me on Twitter, and I didn't get invite to the media game that I did 2 years ago. So it's funny. So if you do stand up and you don't have the voice of the trust the process as the Sixer stands, a lot of them around here do, you are singled out, and people do look at you and go, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and try and take shots at your credibility. Again, you feel about how you want. I'm just unhappy as a consumer, as a diehard 76er fan. I moved to fucking Philadelphia partly because of the 76ers. Not because of the Eagles, not because of the Phillies, not because of the Flyers, but because of the fact that I got the opportunity to go see the 76ers play when I wanted in my backyard.
Like the AI did?
Well, I mean, look, I moved here in 2004, so it was, it was AI, but just high school, all the way through. The baton was handed off from Jordan to AI in my mind.
Yeah.
And I just never missed the game. 98, 99, 2000, 2001.
01, baby.
Yeah.
That's
01. Yeah, it was incredible. So, part of the reason why I moved here, and I just can't go to these games anymore. And it's just disgusting. The product that's out on the floor is disgusting. It hurts. So, I show nothing but love to the people that want to throw one hand up in the air and believe that this is all going to get turned around this summer. But again, I caution you. Injuries, just shit happens. What if Sarge says, you know what, I'm not coming over here? Or like you said, and
what if he's not that good? That's another concern. I mean, like I said, it's so hard to project like international ball. A lot of people are putting hype on Sarge. Like he's gonna, I'm not convinced he's gonna be a needle mover once he gets here. Not that he's not gonna be bad and can't eventually be good, but it's just another F. I mean, it's
yes.
He's an international player. Some of them turn out to be great. Some of them you forget about the year after they're drafted. And with him, there's a little bit more hype because there was this elongated wait, so the focus will be a little bit more. But I've done my my homework on him over the past couple of years, and I've watched, but still I can't say that when Kevin Durant's locking him down on the perimeter of a potential finals game, that he's going to be able to do anything. It's another if. which I just think is a concern.
Yeah, no, it's all true. It's all real, and hopefully it will turn out because obviously we do care. We're sitting here having a conversation about the 76ers because of that reason. All right, before we got about 10 minutes here, so we got some short ones I want to get in here, but let me ask you about this. What is Jerry Colangelo's role? Do you feel like the 76ers will be aggressive this offseason? Do you think they're going to go after a free agent, and that's why Jerry Colangelo is here? Who's making the moves? Is it still Sam Hinkie's show? You know, Jerry Colangelo, just in a nutshell, what is he doing right now? What's his role?
Man, I wish I had like a very direct answer to you because I feel like that would be a story, like breaking news. Because I honestly feel like no one outside the organization knows exactly what the hell he's doing. But you know, my gut feeling, like I said, I've been chasing leads, trying to talk to people within the organization. Was he wasn't brought here to be a figurehead. He wasn't brought here to do nothing. You know, Hinkie has done, you know, he's done the dirty work, if you want to say, over the past 3 years. You kind of posed this question earlier, like if he was fired, how would you look back on his time? And look, like they've sucked now, but one thing that, you know, whether it be pro or anti-Hinkie, you can't take away from him, he has set the team up to succeed. He shed all the contracts that they had, you know, that they were strapped up. He got back draft picks that they owed to other teams. He cleared the cap space. There's no bad contracts on the Sixers now. They're not stuck with anyone. And they have assets to move, cap space, and picks coming up. So even if he was canned today, tomorrow, and like someone else came in and then had success, that success would be built on Hinkie, you know, on the work he did. You know, I will give him that. That's something that can't necessarily be taken away or overlooked. But it's something that hasn't necessarily come to fruition yet, so it's hard to, you know, in the moment really see that. But in a couple of years, when that cap space is hopefully filled up with some talent, and you know the team's in a better position, a lot of what Hinkie has done in this time has set the team up to be that. It's just going to be, you know, I think the question for Colangelo comes in is Hinkie going to be the guy to build them back up? He brought them down, evened them out. Is he going to be the one that is, you know, the guy that brings them back up? And I don't know. That's why I think Colangelo was brought in, because at that point, when you're trying to build back up in a contender, is when you're going to be wanting to sign free agents, you're going to be wanting contacts, you're going to be wanting players that want to come to your team. You know, obviously Hinkie has a reputation. Agents don't necessarily like him. Draft picks, you know, wanted to avoid him. So in that situation, you know, it's either Hinkie's going to be getting a lot of help in that regard, which is what Colangelo's role would be, I think, and sort of, okay, we tore it down, he's going to help us build it back up through his contacts and the respect that he has, or, you know, they're going to do it together, or Hinkie's going to eventually be relieved of his duties in one way or another, and Colangelo will, you know, bring in who he thinks is the best option to, you know, build the team back into a contender.
You nailed it with the assets, the cap space, the picks. You nailed it with Sam Hinkie. So if you want to rip them and feel like these last 3 years have been complete dog shit, I'm fine with that. But at the end of the day, you're so right, KB. He did set the 76ers up on the right path with exactly what you just mentioned. All right, so some quick hitters before we get out of here. We're under 5 minutes, under 60 seconds, both of us combined on these. Got 4 of them. First one. Is it fair for us to judge a coach based off in the NCAA based off of the tournament? You know, we look at these national championships, it's like, how many rings does he have? Everything is about rings. But the NCAA tournament, you got to win 6 games. How many good teams have we seen just upset it in the Elite 8, Sweet 16, whatever it is? Is it fair to judge a college coach off of just the NCAA tournament alone?
I would say no, not off the tournament alone. For me, the biggest judgment of a college coach would just be consistency. You know, if you can stabilize a program and you know, get them to get into the tournament and consistently compete on a yearly basis. You know, a lot of championship has to do with recruiting, and you know, winning has a lot to do with not factors that aren't necessarily strictly down to coaching. So I mean, obviously, if a coach wins multiple national titles, that's a positive on the resume. But I don't think it's fair to strictly judge him just off championship.
Totally agree. You know, when people want to come at Bill Self and say, "Oh yeah," it's like, shut up, dude. How many years have they won?
Yeah.
You know, and Calipari. It's like, you know, if you want to compare and contrast versus these guys, they all have flaws. But bottom line is, these guys are amazing.
If you're getting it done year in, year out, you're probably good at your job.
Exactly. Second one, LeBron James. Is he a bitch?
I don't think he's a bitch. I mean, huge LeBron fan. I always have been.
Is he a bitch? He's a motherfucking
he
diva.
he likes attention. I'll give him that.
Yes,
he likes
he
the
is.
attention. I'm not gonna say he's a bitch because he gets the job done on court. A bitch would be someone if he complained and then also didn't set the he busts his ass on the court and he's if he's not the best player in the league now because Steph's taking that title, he's right there behind him. So I don't want to say he's a bitch, but he certainly likes having extra attention brought to him other than just what he's doing on the court.
Snapchat,
Yeah,
Zero Dark 30,
the
unfollowing the Cavs. Could you imagine, and I say this all the time, our thin skin, as Philadelphia fans that we are, could you imagine if LeBron James played for us and unfollowed the 76ers?
That would be.
We would be
talking about it for endless. I mean, that's what's frustrating about him too. Like he acts like he doesn't like the backlash that comes when he does something, but you're LeBron James. You got 30 million Twitter followers. You do something like that, it's gonna get noticed, and you're gonna get asked about it. So yeah, I mean, his off-court behaviors it's been interesting.
Yeah, that's to say the least. All right, the Warriors, dude, are they gonna? Obviously, they're gonna get the record. Do you agree with that? They're gonna get the record.
Yeah.
What do you think about the championship? Do you think they win the title again this year?
Yeah, I do. The Spurs, obviously, everyone points to them, the only team that can beat them. I just think I love the Spurs in a crazy respect what they've done since almost 20 years now being a top team in the West. But it's just the Warriors' year. They're too good, they're too deep, they're too young, they're too athletic. I think in a 7-game series, the Spurs did show the other week that they could kind of slow the Warriors down. They could trap Steph and make things happen, but I don't see anyone beating the Warriors in a 7-game series. Granted, they're fully healthy.
And last but not least, 30 for 30, OJ. That's right, I guess a 5-part 30 for 30 is coming up, man, which is just incredible.
So much OJ coverage.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Everybody wants it. That's what it is. I love the show, The Juice.
Yeah,
I watch it. Favorite 30 for 30 of all time?
Yeah. I mean, just partially me was the Iverson one, just because I love Iverson. But basically, all the NBA-based ones, Winning Time with Reggie Miller was great.
Tremendous.
Yeah, just so many. But yeah, I would point to the Iverson one because that was, there's been documentaries made since about that. That was one of the first that really went in depth to the whole, bowling alley incident, his background and everything. So to me, that was, was really interesting.
And how good was he at football?
Yeah, that too. Anytime you get to see clips of him running through high school football games, it's always positive.
Awesome stuff. I'll be looking forward to that 30 for 30 at OJ. It's a 5-part series. Dan Levitar was on record saying it would be the best 30 for 30 you've ever laid your eyes on. He wanted to talk about it because that's how good it was. He's just like, I'm going to leave it alone and just say that. Wait till you see
It's going to be better in the show because I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, well, the show is great. I just can't wait. Like I said, what's with all this Juice coverage? Now I'm hooked. I'm OJ Simpson, damn it! I'm the Juice. You know, the greatest line was like, you don't have any black friends. Look at Al, he's darker than me.
Yeah, the dude that plays Johnny Cochran, that's great too. He always has the greatest line.
Travolta, I mean, everybody's nailed it. Good stuff, dude. Make sure you follow my man Mike. He's at Real Mike KB. That's right, Michael Kasky Blomain, doing a great job covering the NBA and of course the 76ers as well. So give him a follow at Real Mike KB. Thank you very much for rolling in, Mike. We'll do this again very, very soon. That's for damn sure. Shout out to the sponsors, Colin Good, Good Team Sells, BadRhinoInc.com, SkullShaver.com. Make sure you check out the Beast Clipper coming for you for the people with hair, and my good friend over at GodfatherLocks.com. That's right, NCAA. He's hot right now. If you need to get some winners, get over to GodfatherLocks.com. Don't go at it alone this weekend. Some events to hit real quick before we get out of here. Phillies home opener, $25, all you can eat and drink. We got the Chamonix Creek Beverages and Nick's Roast Beef. That's the home opener happening on April 11th. And of course, the NFL Draft Party, April 28th at Nick's Roast Beef. Thank you very much for everybody pressing play and listening to us live and checking out the video stream. We greatly appreciate it. Till next Thursday, everybody have a wonderful Tuesday evening. We'll talk to you later. Peace. Apparently the fucking levels were messed up, but still. Yeah, well, I mean, you were a little lower. That's all I kept on getting. But bottom line is I'll go in and I'll fucking bump it up and switch it.
Nice.
Yeah, no big deal. But fuck it, man. Tried it out. It was good. It was good. I'm just wondering, how it's gonna sound with the speaker and shit. I mean, it sounded good when I tried it. Yo, appreciate you pressing play. Shout out. Make sure you follow Mike. PhillyAmateur.com. We appreciate